Hi guys, I'm Penny, a medicine woman and vitalist herbalist, specializing in ancient remedies for modern illness. If you'd like to learn more, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always here to help. Welcome to The Real Deal. Real people, real issues, real talk. And today we're talking so many different soapboxes with Lisa Naper, also known as the 420 Holistic Nurse. She is a traveling licensed practical nurse, LPN, with specialties in wound care, ventilator and respiratory, IV, brain and spinal injury, dementia, and performs intakes for establishing home care. Lisa received her associate's degree in nursing from Diamond Regional Vocational Technical Institute School of Practical Nursing. Upon receiving a cancer diagnosis in 2016, Lisa began her educational journey in medical cannabis, ultimately leading to her 2019 acceptance as a cannabis nurse with the American Cannabis Nursing Association. Despite being a longtime recreational consumer, her journey led her to understand that there was much more to this plant. Lisa is an educator in the cannabis community, which led her to join the Mass Can Board. She is also an award winner for an infused hot sauce. Lisa resides in Westport with her husband Kevin and their 2 pet rescues, 2 cats and a parrot. She enjoys gardening, canning, grounding, spending time with family and friends, playing cornhole, listening to music, playing guitar, photography, and supporting her cannabis community. Let's see here, guys. Oh no, my granddaughter's starting to blow my phone up, so hopefully that doesn't mess with us here. How you doing, Lisa? I see you here. Do you see an add join button? Okay. Oh no, and my granddaughter is blowing up my phone. She's gonna be, let me see, no ad, let me see. Okay, let me try to do, hold on guys, sorry. It's not letting me let you in this way. I'm gonna try it this way, Lisa. I don't know why it's not pulling you up here. You don't see a blue button that says ask to join? Hi Kern, how you doing? I don't know, maybe it'll take 1 minute. For some reason I can let Kern in, but not you, so I don't understand. Hi Michael, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. Let's see, Lisa, let me see. Cancel, maybe it's just gonna take a minute to pop you on. Comment again, Lisa. Yeah, you know what? If you're not on the phone, that's probably with the problem, because I've had people trying to jump on their computer and it doesn't work. Thanks for being patient with us, everyone, through this, through the growing pains as we learn how to work this Facebook Live thing. Let me see. I think that's you, girl. I think she's coming. Let me see. Yep, I got you. So you were on there. I think my granddaughter got the idea. I can't answer. Says it's having you, Lisa, so it might just take a second. 1 second while I trying to connect my computer to. Oh no, let's see. Hold on, guys. Okay, why didn't it let you in? Hold on, Lisa. For some reason, I'm gonna try it again. I don't know why it didn't let you in there. Okay, we got it. How's it going?
All right, it's good. I wasn't sure how I was going to get this. Let me close the laptop and put up the mount so I don't have to hold on to this. I will not be able to see comments because it's set up this way. But thank you for having me, and thank you for your patience, everybody, as we work through, like she said, some growing pains, right?
Yes, I have big issues when it comes to technology, so.
Well, I'm not terribly tech savvy myself. I appreciate the patience as people bear with us to get through this kind of awkwardness. How are you? How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to have you on it and get to hear some more things from you. I pulled out I'm sure you might remember this baby that
I do. I do.
I treasure it always. I got this from you a while ago, and yeah, it's my baby, and I take good
That,
care of her.
that's awesome. I'm glad I hope you use it in well health.
I do.
Awesome. So yeah, and that was a giveaway in my patient support group, right? On
Yeah,
Facebook?
yeah.
Yeah. I haven't done anything there for a little bit. I've been, kind of bogged down with work and, the season of planting. We grow our own food. And, as you had mentioned, my hot sauce, everything in that is grown here on my property. My husband and I do that. So like the only thing in there that, isn't grown and processed by us is probably the vinegar and the salt.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah.
you could easily get to that point where you do your vinegar for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's the 420, and that's L&K spicy sauces because that's my husband and I. But being the 420 holistic nurse, I also have some of my own products. I have some infused body butters. I have infused salves. I'm part way into my a mini clinical trial, if you will, at this moment, working with a particular open wound product um, for healing. And again, that's all, it's all organic and foraged from our land and processed in a very clean way with no, harsh preservatives. We try to use, whatever preservatives that are natural to have self-sustainability for the products on the shelf. So, few things in the work there. Being busy with, the nonprofit organization kind of, takes a lot of time too, besides work, which I'm getting ready to go to, as you can see.
Right.
After this is done, I have I'm employed with several employers. I cater to ventilator patients, adults and children's in their home settings, schools, real life, right? Not these structured facilities that are, heavily mandated and controlled by the government and don't give you a whole lot of choices. Um, I'm not saying that some of those things don't exist in the home, because they do, depending on what type of patient we have, and who's supplying their services of the VA. I have a lot of difficulties with in advocation, because I'm a huge patient advocate. And that goes way back, between my son and things like that. So it kind of hits home. The advocation for our patients doesn't happen enough, right? And sometimes our patients don't want all those pharmaceuticals because of the side effects and what it does to your body or how it makes you feel, right? So breaking through into the medical side of our, I'm going to say that's an industry, right? So that's specifically an industry. And the workers, and I'm part of that industry to a certain degree still, the providers, whether they agree or don't agree, they all have their reasons why. The ones that don't and won't are bound, and we're all bound, but they feel like they're bound more, that they cannot speak up for their patient, that they can't support what their patient's choices are. And so that's hard enough in those regular structured settings. It gets more difficult in the VA environment. Our veterans are tied even more. So them trying to make their own decisions for alternative care, because that's what holistic natural medicine is called now, which, let's be honest, it was primary care, right? How many ancient years do we go back? In terms of cannabis as well, it's what, 4,000 years old? I have in my possession a 1936 pharmacopoeia, the last one that was printed with cannabis in it. I have a doctor's handwriting in there that and I'll just I know I'm going to botch this because I'm not reading it word for word, but basically cannabis was circled and it said effects from the war on drugs. 1936.
Yeah.
I have an 1892 book, Home Remedy, 1892, that covers things from whooping cough, the flu, how to take care of a baby, how to treat senility, and cannabis.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at, and I'll say I have many soapboxes to stand on, and you can hear some of those soapboxes coming through as I'm jumping from one thing to another, but they all have the same common baseline, and that is the struggle to use our natural earth choices for remedies and care. And I'm not saying there's not a place for pharmaceuticals, because sometimes there absolutely is, right? And there's a time and a place for everything. Sometimes it's used in combination, as we see with many people. I also talk about stacking your treatments, right? Stacking your medications. And if anybody doesn't know what that is, we use that in the medical industry as a term, in stacking. And I've taken that over into holistic care, herbal care. And what stacking means is, and I'm going to just use some prompts to help people understand, okay? We're going to, I'll use 3 just for an example. In terms of cannabis or any other natural herb, you can consume it by combustion, inhalation. That also comes in the form of an inhaler that is in some places across the United States. Edible, you can put this into food. You can put flour into food. You can put flour into your butter and still consume it edibly. You can put this under your tongue or put it in a vegan capsule to keep this healthy enough for you. Then you add a topical. I have several forms of topicals. This is called stacking because you're trying to attempt to treat your signs and symptoms of whatever you're trying to take care of from many different ways. And when you're attacking it from all angles, you seem to be more successful in trying to resolve the matter that you put in front of you to add these things into your life. Now, not everybody knows about an endocannabinoid system, and that's referred to as an ECS. Every living thing on this planet has an ECS, from animals to plants to humans. We all have it. Now, our bodies also naturally produce those cannabinoids to fill those receptors naturally. But not everybody has that capability to take care of that completely. As we know, there are some people who don't want to use it at all. Are they deficient? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. And again, that's where stigma comes into play about using this medicine in multiple different ways, except for, getting, as, some people called it, stoned, off your rocker, buried in a, you're into couch lock. That's the recreational side of it.
Wait, why, this is my so big of a problem. Like, why are we like looked down on for being stoned or whatever when, people are wasted on pharmaceutical drugs?
Or how about this? Alcohol. How about alcohol?
I don't even want to talk about, because like all cannabis use is medicinal regarding of the intent. If I want to get stoned, good, because I'm at least better off than doing a pharmaceutical drug or drinking, or So, how do you?
Right.
I mean, how do you get into? How like, are you working? You know, are you working with doctors at all to wonder why they don't know what the endocannabinoid system is 30 years later?
So this is what I've been doing. Since my advocation, my active advocation has started, and this was, oh God, this is probably going back to at least 2016. At least 2016. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't even want to hear it. Nope, don't tell me, la, 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 I'm not hearing you. I said, you need to hear me. Back in 26, they required here in the state of Massachusetts a handwritten prescription for you to go get your MMJ card, okay? I've been consuming since I was a kid. My father grew. He cooked with it. I used to watch him do it on the stove with cheesecloth back in the OG days, right? The stigma never lived within my realm with cannabis. And that's the problem. It's the stigma. It's who their hands are tied and bound by, and how much they're willing to get outside of their comfort zone to push for something in prohibition, right? And it shouldn't still be an active prohibition. This is passed in the state of Massachusetts, right? So why is it still so hard to get them on board to hear it? Because they're still federally regulated. And as long as they're federally regulated, they're going to have a problem with supporting it. Now, in 2016, when I started with oncology because I was diagnosed with cancer at this point, and I was already a consumer. It was very difficult to get that prescription, and this oncologist was very difficult to get her to listen and hear, not just listen to, but to hear what I was saying, to hear the education, to hear the importance of the effects that it was proven. Great. She writes it up, and then I go to this little hole in the wall, and these doctors are charging stupid amounts of money. Mind you, I had taken my father for his MMJ in 2013, and then he died 2 months later. And the first thought in his head and out of his mouth was, I never thought I'd lived long enough to see this come to be legitimate. There are people out there with the same thought process, right? Either they're in it and they're afraid to come forward. They're not in it because of the stigmatization and the lack of education. And when we talk about education, trying to remove the stigma in whatever genre we're at, and let's keep in consideration when I say this, that the largest increase in the population of consumption of cannabis has been the seniors.
Yeah.
Okay, the seniors. Now, the seniors are where most of our stigmatization comes from. And I'm sorry for botching that word, but they're the ones that were holding things up. They're the ones advocating no, reefer madness, blah, blah, blah. And I say blah, blah, blah because that's all it was. None of it was true. It wasn't accurate. Cannabis has only killed one person in this whole country, and as far as I know, the whole world. But I'm going to stick to this country because I know that's absolutely 100%. One death to cannabis. And do you know what that one death was? It was not from consumption. It was from working in it. Her name is Laura McMurray. And she died here in the state of Massachusetts from working in the dispensary. Oh, I've got such goosebumps right now. Because our workers are not being cared for. And here's another soapbox to stand on, right, in this cannabis arena or community. When we're trying to break through and people are trying to break through into the legal market, do I really want it federally legal? No. I want it descheduled. I want it treated like a damn herb, just like everything else that we forage, because that's what it is. Getting into the legal market is different. How do you distribute that, and where are all the legalities and SEs and EEs that are fairly untreated and attacked and not being given the opportunities in the way that they said they were going to be given? Here's another set of soapboxes, right? The inequality in medical care to elderly in structured settings, the veterans, which I'll come back to in a second because that's being worked on as we speak, and pediatrics. So in the medical sense, we have that to deal with. Right now, through my nonprofit organization, what is going on is that there's going to be advocacy and education going on the grandstairs in the State House come lobby day.
While you're doing that, why don't you, instead of like trying to break the stigma of cannabis, put the stigma on the drugs that, I mean, we're literally surrounded by people that they are on mind altering drugs. I could go to a concert with 20,000 people smoking cannabis and no one is going to hurt me. Okay.
Right.
But,
right.
These drugs that people are on is a problem. Like, I have a big problem with it. The reason I don't like being around society is because people are literally zombied out on drugs, not on weed,
Well,
and I mean, why isn't the stigma on the drugs, the drugstore,
I'll tell you why. Because they made it federally legal and they promoted it in such way.
Right, but
they have these how many schedules are there? 4, 5 schedules, right? Why is cannabis even Schedule 1 with cocaine, heroin, fentanyl? Not even close.
Cannabis was the core of nutrition and health. The core since 60,000 BCE, before God. You know what I mean? So, does that make sense? Okay.
It doesn't. Right? It really doesn't. But some people are like this, right? They're in their comfort. They can't even begin to look outside of that box that they've put themselves, that they've allowed to be put into, right? Yeah. So, and I say it that way because we all have choices, don't we? We all have choices. We all have our own minds that we can use, but they've also been influenced, right? So when you're talking about people's minds who have been heavily influenced against it, think about how you have to come to this person. You have to come heavily armed with education and data to combat what they have been drilled into their heads for so many years.
On so many levels. So many levels.
Exactly. In so many boxes, in so many areas. Like people say that, that the reform in Massachusetts is no longer needed because we've accomplished, getting it legal. Wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. It haven't because things aren't right yet. There's not equal access. There are policies and procedures in place that aren't effective, which they thought would be. There still needs to be reparations made as a result on the war on drugs and reparation with the healthcare industry.
And I want to throw in too, you said only one person has died from cannabis or whatever,
That's right.
which was,
That's right.
but hundreds of thousands have died and been robbed and raped and everything by the war on drugs and died.
Yeah.
I mean, not just one. And, it's just amazing what is.
So let's talk about how many people have lived as a result of cannabis. Those numbers are astounding.
Yes.
Those numbers are never really produced, right? So there are studies going on out in the cannabis arena and community. There are physicians like this, the oncologist I mentioned to you that I was trying to educate in 2016. Well, you know something? As she saw improvements in me, because it wasn't just the pharmaceuticals that were taking care of it, right? I increased my cannabis usage as much as possible. And it was difficult because you're sick from those pharmaceuticals they're giving you, that all that chemo, and it's not good for your body and what it does to your body. So to see how quickly it was moving prior to increasing the usage of cannabis, it was amazing. She then went and got educated in Boston. She became a licensed cannabis doctor. She also became a licensed cannabis patient. So we can make those differences. When I was in pain management, I was doing education, and listen, I'd walk in with my t-shirt, clearly has cannabis on it, whatever. Please, I want you to talk to me about it. Come on, say something about it. And a nurse practitioner did in pain management. Pain management, okay? I had found that the doctor put me on something that I told her I wanted no part of. And I said, well, guess what? Now you're going to take me off these medications the right way, which is titration, because when you slowly go up, you need to slowly come back down because your body reacts to everything, right? So in the process of doing that, then she handed me over to the nurse practitioner because now she don't want nothing to do with me because I'm not going to let her do any more of this crap to me that she's done, right? The nurse practitioner goes, oh, I love that t-shirt, because what it was a set of lungs made out of cannabis. Let's talk about it. I educated her, and she said when I am done that I need to go back. Like I that was it. I was done with pain management. I fired him at that point. And yes,
Yeah.
you can fire your doctor. Just so you know, people out there, you hired them. You fire them. Okay? Know that you have the control.
Work with your doctor. You know what I mean? Don't just
If they're willing to work with you, because in this situation, she absolutely didn't want to work with me. But the nurse practitioner said, oh my God, I can see it. Please, let's talk about this when we're all said and done here and move on. So some of them do hear it. Some of it do understand it. Others still need a lot to be approached in that heavy context that I mentioned previously.
You know what?
And not.
You know what? This is the part that I really, because I've followed you for a while, like your story. We've never met, but I know what you've been through. And I was diagnosed cancer 13 years ago too, but I never went back. I never went back. But so I sit and think about it like this. Here I am today, 13 years later. I did go, I got diagnosed, I got a biopsy. The biopsy pretty much caused it. Never went back. So have I had a hard healing? Was it hard healing? Yeah, it took time. But did I go through what you went through as far as
I don't know.
suffering? No, no, I didn't because I didn't take the pharmaceuticals and I didn't take the chemo and you know what I mean? Like I didn't suffer the way that people, you can be healed through nature fully. You don't need both. Sometimes you might need a little, but you really don't need both. And that's what kills me, is the suffering that people go through when they don't have to, you
So
know?
my oncologist, who's no longer my oncologist, but she is my friend now, and a fellow colleague, she saw FICO cure. That's right. I said cure stage 4 lung cancer.
I've seen fecal cure everything under the sun. Everything.
I I just used cannabis in that wound salve that I designed for open wounds. And if anybody's interested in clinical studies, reach out to me because the more that come to me and the more people we could try this with, the more we're going to push authentic herbal medicine because that's what this is. And this is for open wounds with even MRSA.
Listen,
okay?
I have healed MRSA, and you want to know
right.
what I've healed it with? I had
what?
My thumb. They were going to amputate my thumb if I went to a doctor, but I didn't go because I told you I don't go. But I literally pulled the MRSA out of my thumb with FICO, and honey is what I use for dog bites and open wounds because I've worked with a lot of amputations. There seems to be a big spike in amputations in the last 5 years too, which I'm not happy about. I was almost one if I would have went to a doctor. Okay, all these people making money off of the fake legs and all this. It's another racket that they're getting into. It is impossible for infection to live in honey. If you have an amputation, if you have a dog wound, I don't care what it is, soak that thing in honey. And I know that's probably in your little remedy there. And I'm sure you can even make it better.
I did.
Excited. Right.
I did. I'm gonna pat myself on the shoulder and say, yes, I did. I am so excited about it because when you look at ingredients from our earth, the benefits are antioxidants, antibacterials, antifungals, right? When you start putting some of those things together, woo, the goosebumps, girl. I get so excited. I'm so nerdy and geeky about this stuff. But when we're talking about application of, these natural, and it looks like any other product, right? This one happens to be a butter instead of the more condensed salve, right? But when you're looking at what you're putting in here to work on the human body, right? Because this isn't just nature stuff. This is biology too, right? Because this is about the human body interacting with our horticulture environment. So, and again, it can be dangerous and you can hurt yourself if you don't know what you're doing, right? So don't just go out there, people, please. Let's be safe. The nurse doesn't want you to hurt yourself. And you're going to go out and forage. Please know what you're foraging and using and how you process that. Right. Because even how you process it can change the safety of it. So know what you're doing or talk to somebody who knows what they're doing. Yeah. I know you know. right?
Yeah.
I know that you put some stuff together over there, right? And the more of us who do this and get this out and do the education and talk about not just cannabis, right, but all herbals, because that's really what it is. Cannabis seemed to have been excluded from that for some reason, and I'm not even sure how, but it got extracted out of that and put into some category where it doesn't belong.
Well, do you
So
remember the tea tax? There was really a tax on herbal on medicine. Because
I
all
do.
pharmaceutical drugs, all of them derive from plants, fungi, lichen, like they all and they can't patent that. So like
That's
even though
well, hold on. When we're
hold on,
talking about patent, let's make sure people know there's a patent on cannabis
right,
in the terms of who owns that. It's the federal government. I believe there's two, not just one. I still have yet to follow up that information and confirm that, but they know, and that's why they put a patent on it, because they're going to try to gain control of this right away. And they did that back in the 20s and the 30s, right? They already had the foresight to know that because they already know where they came from. Now, what they also did was they took this plant and they made synthetic forms of it in terms of Epidiolex, Marinol, and there are now two more, and I can't off the top of my head remember the other two names, but there are two more synthetic forms of cannabis that they're using. Psilocybin treatment, mushroom treatment, if you know what you're doing or somebody can help you through the correct process to get that done safely, there's nothing wrong with microdosing.
right.
Like, I mean, how many years ago were they just consuming this as a tea naturally or throwing mushrooms in their food to eat? And
I use psilocybin a lot, and I use even all the other mushrooms because they have,
the
ratio.
lion's mane, and yeah, there's at least 7 of them.
Yeah, I breed them, and they're really easy. When I actually moved, so I'm gonna start rebreeding, and when I do, I'm gonna do videos, and if anyone's interested in learning, grow along with us, because it's so easy. You don't need a sterile environment. You grow them outside, just like
Yeah,
nature does. So
that's right. That's
yeah, I'm
right. And
excited.
listen, I mean, you can get some of that chicken mushroom right off the side of trees.
I
Like, if
cook
you
I
look,
cook
you'll
all
know
of it.
it.
Yeah, chicken in the woods, you cut it up
Yeah.
and you fry it like chicken. It feels like you're eating meat. And
Yes.
mushrooms are even more symbiotic with our bodies because they're the 70% water. Like so much of the DNA of the mushroom is we also need the mushrooms as much as the other herbs and plants. We do.
That's right. And so, like when I mentioned, like every living thing has an ECS, right? A lot of those living things are also made up of mostly water, just like we are.
Yeah.
So, I'm pretty sure Mother Nature had this earth designed for us to be able to live off the land. And let me tell you, it's not easy to live off the land. It's work, but again, it comes down to choices. What do you really want to consume,
Yeah.
right? And some people are afraid of change, and people are in habits and poor habits at that. And I'm no better, right? Here I am trying to drink this other cup of coffee that I probably should be
Right.
drinking water by this point, and already had a snack. And
Right.
right,
That's
I
what
mean,
happens
yeah,
when you're a nurse. You take care of everyone else but yourself. I actually
yeah,
started taking real good care of myself after I got past the cancer. I slacked a while, but a couple years ago, I was like, okay, I'm getting older. You need to take care of yourself to take care of anyone else, right? So I do make it a priority now.
I think I still have not made it a priority, but I think, being honest, I think I'm doing a better job at it. But, you know, my cancer battles, unknowingly, because I didn't know any better back then, started in my 20s. Like I was precancerous in my 20s, in female organ. And I didn't test positive again until I was in my mid 40s, right? And that year in 2016, I got two diagnoses of cancers 3 months apart, and then 3 or 4 months later, I was precancerous in the other female organ yet again. So, and then this past 12 months, or almost 12 months, I've been battling precancerous esophageal disease. So,
Are you eating a lot of honey, Lisa?
I don't eat a lot of honey because the sugar, but I do have the honey, and I do eat as clean as possible. I don't really eat red meat, and if I eat red meat, it's deer meat because we're hunters, we're fishers, and we're growers. So my consumption, again, I can be guilty of using something that's already made, like some protein wafer bar or something to get me through, but that's portable, right? I've become better in the habit of bringing my cooler backpack with me and throwing some fruit and water and, celery sticks or, a salad or something, and that salad, we're growing the lettuce here ourselves. I'm not buying that in a grocery store, right? So,
I would
um, the,
I would just recommend you do take a tablespoon of honey every day. Just I've helped people with the esophageal issues, and you'll see, like you'll really that honey
yeah.
works with you.
So right now I have some organic honey infusing with spices right now. And so that's going to be an incorporation as well, not just for myself, because these things that I do, they started doing them for me. I wasn't doing this as a business to give to other people. It just turned out to be that. This was about helping me and me learning that I had to do better by me. And with what I saw with me, were benefits. And as a nurse, and of course, that's always kicking into overdrive. Gee, I wonder if this can help anybody else. And so a lot of times you'll hear me say, hey, how can I help you today?
Right.
How can I help you today? Because I know where I've come from, and that's just the health kind of stuff. That's not even, the other stuff that was traumatic and difficult to get through. And at some point, as people get to know me, they'll get to know about me. And and those things are your life experiences, your exposures, is what makes you who you are today. And sometimes people can die in that or thrive in that. And again, that's a choice, right? And mental health is so important when we're talking about doing better by you, right? Because, and I'll say I'm me just being me. And I say it all the time. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. I live by that. But the nurse in me is, I'm always going to help you if I can. And if I can't help you, I'm going to outsource you to somebody who might be able to help you on a ground level, maybe a small business, maybe veteran owned, small, maybe woman owned, whatever. But it will take it to a place in that person's area that is not going to be taken, somebody's not going to take advantage of a sick person or an injured person, or be bullied in any way, shape, or form by other MSOs, uh, people who scammers, right? I mean, because we hear stories about that happening all the time. So I'm going to put you in a good place to hopefully get you what you need, that you're not going to feel like you're being taken advantage of. Because how many times do we say, as sick humans or humans who have had bad experiences with our healthcare industry, right? I wish I'd known differently then. I wish I had that opportunity. I wish I had that information. I wish I had that access Share,
Yeah.
share. Sharing is caring, right?
Yeah.
So I come from that kind of perspective. And again, like I said, sure, yeah, like now things are like, people are like, oh my God, I love that. That's great. That competition that I won the hot sauce in, I had no expectations of winning. It was the very first entry ever. My husband and I have been working on these things for 10 years, you know, those particular recipes for 10 years, right? And so, great, we won. Awesome. Everybody wants it now. Oh, I need to grow some more stuff for that one. But it's coming. So again, it's like, or even I do, we can and jar and freeze and dehydrate. Any way you could think of living off the land to stay with the mindset of making better choices for yourself.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding. And then when you can share that out with other people and they go, "Oh my God, this is amazing," and then they start doing it.
Yeah, that's the best part. I mean,
That that gives
yeah,
me so much right here.
yeah,
Listen, when I healed my veteran patient who's on a ventilator, and I saw, because I had been gone for a couple of days and I knew where the wound was, and I came back and I watched it. I was on my knees in tears in front of my patient and his wife. Why? I was so happy for him. For him. He's healed.
yeah,
That is the best return. Not the money for this. I mean, yeah, okay, it helps me get more to make more, but keep it down on the ground level and equitable access for everybody, and to be able to forward that knowledge and education in whatever area. And maybe that's why I stand on so many soapboxes, because there's so many areas that still need this outreach, right? Workers, on just to throw out there for workers, there's going to a movement in terms of making sure our workers are in safe places and that they have equipment that they need to do their jobs, that they're not going to get sick from it, lose their jobs from it, or even die from it, just like our veterans. Come support our veterans. The bills are in the house right now. We're going to go educate them. We need you to come with us, right? We need other people to speak up, whether it's legislation, advocation at the legislative area, education in terms of medicine, education in terms of equitable access, education and learning how to grow your own, right?
yeah,
Learning education on how to be self-sustaining, education on how to be mindful for yourself, education about your mental health. Again, that's already 8, right? 8 different soapboxes that education still needs to strongly be done, and support those
yeah,
communities on those said soapbox topics, right? So message me, come talk to me, comment on my page, come follow me, come see what I'm about. You like it? And you like what you see, join, get active. Help me do some of this footwork that I'm trying to do for our community. Because I'm doing this for you guys, right? I'm not just doing it for me, right? Because I have, and I'll tell you just for an example, I will go as far as making a complaint, and I have. I've called out Dana-Farber right on social media. Oh, we're sorry. No sorries. I don't want to see this happen to anybody else again. I said, and as a patient, I'm disgusted. As a healthcare professional, I'm ashamed of what you're doing. No problem. I will call it out. Listen, sometimes my filter, it's off and it'll go from here to right out here sometimes, and I get it. People think I can be too much. Well, guess what? I'm glad you think I'm too much, because here I come.
yeah,
In life, some of us learn how to find those voices. Mine was squashed down up until just a few years ago. And that was because I was victim of multiple things. And I found strength, even though I still have, some things going on that kind of affect me in the way that I'm able to come forward and up. I don't quit. I don't stop. I don't give in, and I won't, because I found that as soon as I felt that deep love as a return for what I did for somebody else, that's all that mattered.
Yeah.
So now you're going to have to try to put a muzzle on me. Good luck with that.
Keep screaming.
Absolutely. From the top of your lungs, from the highest mountain, from the lowest valley, wherever you need to do that from. And if you need voices to do it with you, put it out there, right? Because sometimes patients don't, I'm sorry, I'm looking for my fan button. I'm like having a hot flash here. I don't know where it is. So pardon me as I do this, because cancer still has me doing some stuff. Let's bind together. Let's get bonded. Let's talk. Let's support each other. Let's advocate for each other. Let's go protest together. Let's do these things together, because that's the only way change is going to happen. And if you want change to happen, be the change you want to see.
Exactly. Leading by
Yeah.
example is so powerful, and it's like you don't even need a gym when you're out there and you're working in conjunction with the natural world, and baby steps. It is overwhelming when you're brought up with a certain lifestyle, but we don't learn about self-care and stuff like that. But you are the biggest project you will ever tackle, you yourself, and you should tackle that. That's the number one thing in life. So I mean,
and I think if anybody needs help with that, I think that they should know that they are safe coming to my space as well, whether it's the patient support group that I have or the business page that I have on Facebook. I can be reached, through my DM. I can be reached on another social media platform if you want that more privacy. But I know that the two of us are safe places to go to for aid, for assistance, for education, and for support. Right. So I just make sure that people know that it's going to be a safe place. There's no judgment. There's no ridicule, and there's not going to be any embarrassment needed, right? So we're always willing, some of us here in this arena, this community of support that will definitely give you at least the basics that you're going to need, and maybe a good direction that could take you even further. But to know that you always have the support is the first and foremost thing.
Yeah.
And if I can inspire you, please use it. Use it. Or come and ask me to, inspire others for you, or speak about things in terms of support and advocation. Because I think that our community sometimes, I think they lose perspective, some of them, and then they use the heads of other people to step on. And we don't want to see that happen. We want to support each other in a good way. So let's treat each other with kindness. Respect is earned, but definitely kindness, right? I mean, sometimes people show more kindness to an animal than they do to a human being. And I can understand, because some people have been so damaged by human beings.
Yeah.
But we still have to live with them, right? We still have to interact to a certain degree with them.
So. I love everything you've said today. I'm definitely going to have to get you back on here. We, like you said, so many soapboxes, and I'm glad.
Was I lying? Right? Like I said, listen, I'm a squirrel, shiny. I'll jump, and you'll see that. And that's part of some of the things I got going on, because Listen, none of us are perfect, right? Not one of us is perfect. None of us have room to talk about any other individual. We need to focus and center here and work on this. And if you're going to put your hand out, please put it out to help somebody up, not put them down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So great love for everybody out there. Again, feel safe to come to us, educate, outsource. Maybe even, like I said, my nonprofit organization works on a lot of stuff in terms of cannabis and advocacy. Um, and if that doesn't happen, like I know other nonprofit organizations that I'm involved with or getting more heavily involved with, like I don't already have lack of time already, but um, so many important issues to deal with, and I would love to see people come join yourself or me in, trying to cut some of this stigma out, right? Because it just needs to go. It just needs to go.
I think, right now, like it's gonna come from the mothers and the fathers and the grandparents, and yeah, we are. It's definitely a crazy time in history because I feel like we're coming together now for a reason, and it's good. The future is bright.
The universe works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
And I truly believe, and I've said this for a long time as well, things happen for a reason, right? They truly happen for a reason. People come in and out of your life either as a lifelong or a lifelong lesson.
Yeah.
So the universe will take care of it as long as you are taking care of you,
Yeah.
right? And being a good human, every day. I strive to be a better human than I was the day before. And if you can do, and listen, self-assessment is a really difficult thing to do. I still struggle with it sometimes too. I was forced to start doing that when I went to nursing school. I was like, oh, what am I going to do? How do I criticize myself? Well, listen, I didn't realize that I had been criticizing myself since childhood, right? Um, and so you could be your own worst critic, and most of us are, right? Who are trying to strive to be better. But if you can be kind and be a good person and live as clean as possible, I think you've got this, right? With your friends and family, and maybe getting together and hanging out and just laughing. Laughing is great medicine.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I know we only have a few minutes left here, and so let me just tell you, because I have to go out and do an intake again. I was on an intake yesterday. One of my jobs, and I've got two on right now. I did have three. I kind of kicked one to the curb. I'm going to go get two other ones. But I was doing an intake, and an elderly woman with Alzheimer's and a grown son, and we're doing communication. And I've worked with dementia, locked unit, brain injury. I can't tell you how extensive it is with brain injury and brain disease process that I've worked with as well, and very early on in my career. But sometimes you just know what you need to do based on the experiences that you've had in the years past. And I always like to approach my individuals in a way that is, you're going to look at me and you're going to want to smile, right? You're going to see bright, you're going to see smile, you're going to hear an upbeat in the voice and the body language. And that woman never laughed so hard. She never laughed so hard. She didn't remember any of it at the end, but her son watched her laugh and laugh and laugh. Great medicine. It's good, not just good for your body because you're taking these big breaths, right? It releases the endorphins, right? And that's great for your brain.
Right.
Take a deep breath, everybody. Ground whenever you can, however you can. Super, super important. I want to thank everybody for coming and hanging out with us. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate that. And I'm sending tons of Reiki love to everybody. And I hope today brings you exactly what you need. Many blessings.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Do you have, I know you gave me some links. I'm going to put them down in the description for
Yes.
everyone so you can get a hold of Lisa. Do you want to say them real quick or?
Sure. So again, I'm on Facebook as Lisa Gilbo Napert because my maiden name's still in there. I also have a support page, the 420 Holistic Nurse. I also have a business page, the 420 Holistic Nurse. I'm also on TikTok and Instagram by those names as well. I think I might be on another one. I'm trying to work out, trying to be social media and tech savvy. I'm getting there. But listen, if you guys need me, send me a DM, send Penny a message. If you can't find me, she'll send you over to me. And yeah, thanks everybody.
I'm glad you came and you enjoy your day, your weekend, and we'll have you back because
Thanks.
we got a lot to say.
I'd be glad to come back. You just let me know. We'll schedule it.
Okay. And thanks for joining everyone. Chime in. We'd love to hear from you. Um, thanks for, I do see some comments coming up, but having a conversation kind of rude to be answering, but I will go back. Lisa can go back. If there's any questions you have, put them in there for her. And join us here live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard. And next, we'll be talking violets and herbalism with my friend Ma again from Ma's Little Herb Shop. So stay tuned. Have a good weekend. Mwah.